This lesson is about possessive determiners and possessive nouns. And these are words that we use to show who or what owns somebody or something. Possessive determiners are one way to show who or what owns a noun. So for example, I could say, this is my toy. This toy belongs to me. I'm the owner. Your toy is the determiner that we would use to talk about something that belongs to you. For third person singular, the determiners are his, her, and its. And I know its is confusing because it's got an S on the end there. And usually when you see an S, it means plural, more than one, right? But not in this case. When you use its, you're referring to a singular noun. So there on the left, you can see a picture of a dog playing with a toy. The dog is the owner of the toy. So if we were going to use a pronoun for the dog, we would use it. It is the owner of the toy. And an example of a sentence with a possessive determiner is, the dog is playing with its toy. The toy belongs to it. And when we're talking about it, we mean the dog. These possessive determiners, they can't go in a sentence by themselves. They always have to go with a noun. That's why I'm showing them here with the noun toy. You can't just say, I like my, or I like your. They always have to go with a noun because their job is to show who owns the noun, who or what owns the noun. Our toy is first person plural, your toy second person plural, and their toy third person plural. Notice the EI there. Another way that you can show possession means ownership, is with a possessive noun. So here's an example of a possessive noun. This is the dog's toy. See that apostrophe S there? That shows that the dog is the owner of the toy. So you could either say this is its toy, its is a possessive determiner, or you could say this is the dog's toy. That's a possessive noun. Possessive nouns have apostrophes, but possessive determiners do not. So try not to forget that one because lots of students make mistakes with that. They put an apostrophe in its, but that's incorrect. Possessive determiners never have apostrophes. So if you can learn to do that correctly, you will have an advantage over many native speakers because many people who grew up speaking English still make a mistake with that. So watch out for that one. Possessive determiners never have apostrophes. Possessive singular count nouns need a determiner. So you can't just say, this is dog's toy, because dog is a singular count noun, and singular count nouns must have a determiner. So you could say something like, this is the dog's toy, or this is my dog's toy, or this is your dog's toy. But you can't just leave a possessive noun without a determiner if it's singular. Make sure you say the S clearly when you say a possessive noun. So don't say, this is the dog toy. Make sure you say, this is the dog's toy. That Z sound clearly. It might seem like a small thing to you, but native speakers will notice if you don't say the possessive Z clearly. Let's practice these possessive nouns and possessive determiners so you can see the relationship between them. Here's an example of a sentence with a possessive noun. I lost my husband's keys. So what's the determiner in that sentence? We only have one determiner, and it's my. And the reason we have it is because husband is a singular count noun. So even though it's a possessive noun, it's still singular. It's still a singular count noun. So we have to have a determiner with singular count nouns. So if we wanted to use a possessive determiner instead of a possessive noun, what would it be for this sentence? We're referring to the husband, so it would be I lost his keys. Let's try another one. Number 2, John met his sister's new boyfriend. So what's the determiner in that sentence? It's his. And that's because sister is a singular count noun. So we have to be more specific. Which sister? His sister. Okay. And then if we were going to use a possessive determiner instead of a possessive noun in that sentence, what would it be? It would be John met her new boyfriend, because we're referring to the sister. Number 3, we ate dinner at Stacy and Shelley's house. So what's the determiner in that sentence? There is no determiner, and that's because we have a proper noun here. So you don't need determiners with proper nouns. If we were going to use a possessive determiner to refer to Stacy and Shelley, what would it be? It would be their. We ate dinner at their house with an EI. And number 4, he does not like the city's policy. What's the determiner there? It's the, because city is a singular count noun. And then if we were going to use a possessive determiner instead of cities, what would it be? It would be its. He does not like its policy. Okay, so you might wonder, where does that apostrophe go? Because if you've been paying attention when you've been reading, you might have noticed that the apostrophe sometimes goes before the S and sometimes after. So let's look at the rule. If you are using a singular possessive noun, then it needs to be an apostrophe S after the noun. If you are using a plural possessive noun, then the apostrophe needs to go after the S. So most plurals end in an S, right? Apples, pens, books, students. But there are some nouns that do not have an S at the end when they're plural, like women or men, children, people. These are irregular plurals. With those, you can't just add an apostrophe at the end. You need to add an apostrophe S. So those irregular plurals are the same as singular possessive nouns, but the plurals that end in an S, they just need an apostrophe after the S. So here's an example with pictures. The top one, the top sentence, is an example of a singular possessive noun. This is my brother's house. And you'll see we have brother and then apostrophe S. So that means one brother lives in one house. But if you put the apostrophe after the S, then it means that brothers is plural. And that means many brothers live in one house. So you can't tell the difference when I say it, right? This is my brother's house, singular. This is my brother's house, plural. But when you're writing it, it's very important to put the apostrophe in the right place, because the meaning is different depending on where you put that apostrophe. So this is another thing that native speakers often make mistakes with. So if you can get this right, you will look very well educated, and you'll have an advantage on a lot of native speakers who get this incorrect a lot of the time. Let's do some more practice now with these apostrophes. In each sentence, we're going to identify whether or not the bold noun is singular or plural, and then we're going to fill in the possessive determiner on the right. So number 1, he brushed his daughter's hair. Is that possessive noun singular or plural? I hope you guessed plural, because notice the apostrophe comes after the S. All right, so if we were going to use a possessive determiner to refer to the daughters, what would it be? It would be their. He brushed their hair. So this father has many daughters, and he brushed their hair. How about number 2? He brushed his daughter's hair. This time it's apostrophe S. So that's the singular, right? One daughter. And you can see a picture on the right there of that scenario. So what would the determiner be for that sentence? It would be he brushed her hair. One daughter. Number 3, she likes Indian women's clothes. So watch out here. Look at the spelling carefully. That's plural, right? So women with an E is plural. That's an irregular plural, so that's why we have an apostrophe S. So what would we have for our possessive determiner for that sentence? It would be she likes their clothes, because it's plural. Last one, she likes that woman's clothes. Look at the spelling there with an A. That's singular. All right, so the possessive determiner would be she likes her clothes. Okay, so now I want to mention attributive nouns, because students sometimes get confused between possessive nouns and attributive nouns. So nouns that describe other nouns are called attributive nouns. So attributive nouns do not show possession, and they do not have apostrophes. So that's where students get confused. They think, do I need an apostrophe here? Well, it depends on whether the noun is acting like an adjective and describing the noun that comes after it, or is it showing ownership? So if you say Maria has a plane ticket, you've got two nouns side by side, but there's no apostrophe. And that's because plane is an attributive noun. The plane does not own the ticket. The plane did not buy a ticket, right? So the ticket does not belong to the plane. What we're doing is we're just describing the type of ticket in the same way that an adjective would describe a noun, like a red ticket or an expensive ticket. So there are other nouns you could use to describe tickets, like bus ticket or movie ticket. So we are describing the type of ticket. We're not showing that the bus is the owner of the ticket or the movie is the owner of the ticket. That's why there's no apostrophe, because it's not ownership. It's not a possessive noun there. It's an attributive noun. It's acting like an adjective. So if you say, this is Maria's ticket, that's a possessive noun because Maria is the owner of the ticket. It's not a type of ticket. We can't say, oh, this is a Maria ticket. We need to show that Maria is the owner of the ticket, and that's why we have an apostrophe S. So When you have an apostrophe S, that's a possessive noun, and it shows ownership. When there's no apostrophe, it's an attributive noun, and you're just describing the type of noun. In the same way that an adjective describes a noun, you're using one noun to describe another noun. So let's summarize what we've learned. Possession shows that one noun belongs to another noun. So for example, if we look at these two ladies in the car, and imagine this lady is speaking here, she would say, I am Shore and I am the owner of this car. This is my car, it's Shore's car, and my sister, Shore's sister, is sitting beside me. We can show possession with a possessive noun or a possessive determiner. So here's an example of a possessive noun. My sister's name is Sarah. So that apostrophe S shows that the sister is the owner of the name. And then her name is Sarah. That's an example of a possessive determiner. So her shows that the name belongs to her, and her is Sarah. So it's Sarah's name, her name, my sister's name, her name. There are two ways that you can show ownership. Use apostrophe S with singular possessive nouns and irregular plural possessive nouns, and use only an apostrophe after the S with regular plural possessive nouns. So here's an example. We are going to our friend's house. We will visit other women's houses later. So that apostrophe S in friends shows that it's singular, one friend. We will visit other women's houses. That's an irregular plural, because see the E there? And that's why we have an apostrophe S there. We visited several ladies' houses yesterday. So see how we have an apostrophe after the S there? That's showing a possessive noun that's plural, just a regular plural with an S on the end. Singular possessive nouns need determiners. So don't forget those determiners, even if it's a possessive noun. If it's singular, an account noun, it needs a determiner. So for example, you need to say, we used my sister's car yesterday. You can't just say, we used sister's car yesterday. You need to be more specific with those singular count nouns. Singular count nouns always need a determiner, including possessive nouns. And finally, attributive nouns are like adjectives. They describe other nouns. They do not show ownership. So here's an example. We need to drive carefully so we don't get a traffic ticket. So the word traffic is a noun, but it's not showing that traffic is the owner of ticket. It's showing us the type of ticket. And that's why there's no apostrophe there. It's an attributive noun. It's just describing the noun that comes after it. Okay, so like I said, a lot of native speakers make mistakes with possessive determiners and with possessive nouns. So if you can work hard on these and get them right, you will look very well educated and very professional.